Morning, Ken. Good to chat to you again. How are you, man? It's early in the morning.
Oh, I'm good, man. Great, yeah. Everything's fine from outside. And how's the weather in PE?
Uh, well, we have a nice, and it's actually good to because Limathumbandaka, but I can see it's gonna clear. It's gloomy, but it's going to clear. It's a beautiful day. It's at 6 a.m. and I think this can actually work if because we know our days are actually so busy and it's tough. People
Mhm,
work in different times. A lot of things
mhm.
happen in the evening when you come back from work, and so just to find a sweet spot where people have at least calm and have their selves together before they go to work. I think we might just stick to this time. How is Tepi, your wife?
My wife is good. She's enjoying her work still. We're also enjoying our marriage, friendships, and church life. We're good, man. We're good. We're good.
Okay. Thamsanqa Ken Gampu holds a BCOM degree in business management from Nelson Mandela University. His skills include project management, leadership, customer service, and operations management. I recently joined the university again, rejoined the university, and I'm now operations coordinator of the Office of the Dean of Humanities. So this operations management and all of that and leadership and project management is something that we share as friends, as colleagues, and I guess now um, as someone who's gonna regularly appear in this conversation in this black hat conversation that I intend to do. So Ken currently is an operations manager for the multinational company based in Johannesburg. We had a very good last conversation, and I'm happy to have received some of the feedback, and people are starting to plug in. This conversation is not for everyone, it's actually for me and you. But if anyone is listening, we're happy for anyone to join in. Tell me, what do you want to talk to us about today?
What was just occupying my mind for a couple of months, it's manhood. Speaking about manhood today.
Simamele, Tata, you can go ahead.
No, thanks. So manhood, it's a very broad topic, and I think us, specifically us as Black people and as Black men, that topic has got both a negative connotation and a positive connotation. We'll start, for example, with what we call toxic masculinity, which is basically a misconception in the culture in general of what men and women are supposed to be and act like in culture. But because of our topic, toxic masculinity, for us, it's those negative, unexpected cultural expectations that are imposed as us as men. For example, misconceptions such as a man, you can't express yourself emotionally. If you express yourself as a man, you are seen as a weak man. If you are a provider at home, you are a weak man. You must just know your place in society. If you're not physically buffed up, for example, you and I, our stature, not like muscle men and stuff, society will put us in a corner and say, no, for you to be known as a man in society, you need to go to the gym, you need to have muscles, you must be aggressive as a man. Men cannot be show a sense of sympathy and emotion towards people they converse with. So that for me, it's something that was swirling in my mind, and I've just been thinking about it deeply. And one of the things it's doing to most us men is causing most of our men to take their own life, because you've got this group of men who society says a man has got to fit in this certain category, which is unrealistic. And then you find these men who are trying to live up to that standard. So, for example, things happen in life, in all of us, whether you're a man or a woman. And then, for example, let's say you want to provide well for your family, and all of a sudden the company you're working in, they retrench. And now here's a man, because society says a man is supposed to, you are not man enough if you are not providing for your own. But now you've got this incident where an external events took place and they're affecting us. And this person can't get a job onward, and he was so used in providing for his family. All of a sudden now, society places a mark on that man and says, hey, you are a useless man, but they don't really know the story behind of that. So what does that man do? He goes up, buys a rope, and hangs himself. And we've got another man lost because of what society imposes on us and what manhood is. So that was my first topic, these misconceptions that we have derived out of nowhere to say this is what a man's supposed to be. So I'll just repeat them, some of them. It's expression of emotions. Society says as a man, you cannot express your emotions. Just imagine these men, if they are married and they're not expressing their emotions, what nightmare are we creating for the women who are married to these men? That's the first one. Men should not be sympathetic when it comes to dealing with issues of society. Men should not be givers, and all of those things that society has imposed to us as men, which is, I wanted to cover that, the misconception of what a man is. Physical appearance of a man. A man must be physically strong, physically be buffed up to show himself as a man. That is a misconception at all, because by God's design, we are not all of the same stature. Some of us are tall, some of us are short, some of us are fat, some of us are tiny, some of us have got muscle, some of us don't. So those misconceptions, we just need to pack them off and just go along as we are going to go along now. So after that, I think once we've dealt with a misconception now, I think it's important for us to understand the making of a man. Because now we need to find out, okay, if these are the misconception of the man, how do we make sure as a society? And obviously, I think stats are very helpful in this regards. I was just listening to another podcast, and they said 80% of men who are in prison are coming from single parented headed homes. And those homes are headed by women. So most of 80% of men who are in prisons, they are coming from single parent houses which are headed by women. And those that tell me there's something that's very wrong with our society, and which is we need to work on it. So the making of a man under that topic. How do we produce now a society as Africa, as especially as Black South Africans? Because the what do you call it? What was COVID? The pandemic of manless homes, or the pandemic of men that are absent in our homes, is predominantly in the African houses. Other cultures, for example, the Western cultures, most of those households are ran by both parents. But us as the Black people, our households are ran by single parent, and there's a lack of men. We are bankrupt, as we spoke in the first episode with regards to these topics. We spoke about the bankruptcy of leadership. In the similar vein, we are bankrupt of men in our homes as African families. And so we need to come up with a way on how are we going to make sure that we make more men who are able to lead in society, men who are able to take the baton and say, hey, this is my country, this is my city, this is my home. We need to move together. I think one of the main things that we need to look at under the topic, the making of a man is not a creature that is created by God's design to be existing in isolation. By design, men are created to mimic others. And so one of the things that I've seen in my old age now, I was once myself and you very young, one of the things that I've seen was very helpful in making of a man. We need willing mentors. We need willing mentors to take other young men along their side and say, hey, let me show you what this journey of being a man looks like. So that's why it will cover a broad aspect of this conversation of the making of men. Because basically, the mentor comes alongside you to show you, hey, as your individual, you've got your individual personality, you've got your individual goals, you've got your individual talents. And the mentor comes along, they say, listen, you might be gifted in all these areas, but I want you to give you a realistic view about what life is all about. And the mentor is that man or a woman in other cases, but in this case, it will be that man who will come alongside you as a young man and say, listen, I want you to show you how life sometimes works and how life sometimes does not work. And how sometimes life, if you look at through the lens of being realistic, you'll go through life and sometimes the plans that you've got planned, penned down, everything memorized, I'm going to execute A, B, and C. How do you react when those plans don't go according to plan? So that your first response when your plan don't go according to plan, you don't take a rope and hang yourself because of these stereotypes that we spoke about. So that's the one thing that a mentor does. A mentor gives you a realistic view of this thing called the journey of life, because all of us coming from different backgrounds. And then the one thing the mentor does, it gives you a realistic view. The second thing a mentor does that I would recommend every young man who will be watching this video, approach men that you see that they are in the same path that you're wanting to get for your life. For example, if you see, okay, Olam here, he's in a more academic space. How is Olam achieving all of those things? How is Olam getting to meet all these different people? So from your side, a mentor will give you the hows of executing your journeys or goals. So when you go to Olam, you ask Olam such questions. Olam will tell me, what are your routines? Which is at the very old age, some men don't know have routines. For example, what are your routines? How do you get so productive during the day with the same hours as other men, but your output in life is very broad and very productive? So in Olam, for example, will tell you something, listen, I work with a schedule. I've got this schedule planned up. When someone gives me tasks to do, I prioritize them. I need to do A, B, and C. Okay, what is urgent, what is not urgent, and so forth. So a mentor will give you also, just besides the realistic view of how life is going on and how you should expect life to go, he also gives you the how behind the scenes that's taking place. How do you plan your life behind the scenes? Because most of the people in all careers, in all spheres of life, those people that are successful, we have this misconception that they just wake up and then everything falls on their plate and it happens automatically. No, there's hard work and hard labor that's happening behind the scenes. And if I think most of the men that I've experienced, even myself actually, I've experienced this, asking myself a lot of questions about people that I aspire to be like them. Always ask myself, how is it these people, we both of us got 24 hours, but they are achieving a lot within those 24 hours. And then the mentor is the one person that will show you the how that happens behind those working productivity hours that are given there. And the third thing we can cover with regards to making of a man, a mentor will need to teach you how to prioritize your desires. I think one of the persons that has spoken this in my life, and he made it very practical, was actually a man from Port Elizabeth by the name of Reverend Duze. I remember him saying to me one day, he's saying, one of the things that makes you productive, you must make sure if you have the choice to choose between a desire, entertainment, and to be productive, always choose to be productive. Always choose to be productive. If you have an option to choose between a desire and to be productive for productivity, always choose productivity first, because productivity is going to take you far. Entertainment is good, you need it as a human being, but it's not going to give you any fulfillment. It's not going to impact a larger community as a whole. Entertainment, primarily, it satisfies your desire, which you should have. I'm not saying you should not go out and have fun. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying do what is productive at the first and foremost, because that it does not only benefit you as a person for discipline purposes, but it also helps you to contribute towards the building up of a society. When you're productive, I mean, with all the temptations we have, with all the social media we have, you've got TikTok, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, we are very tempted to say, let me waste my time and just entertain myself for hours and hours and hours and hours. But if you, on the other hand, if time is doing that, I'm always on TikTok, always on Facebook, and we are sometimes living between these two worlds, productivity and entertainment. And most of it, if you can consider and pinpoint every successful person in the context of the South African continent, those individuals who are very successful, they discipline themselves to say, no, entertainment, pause, and then if I need to do something, I need to do it on the upfront and be productive and use my time and my hours and my effort and my God-given talents to produce something that will be worthy to be presented to our society and make my society, which I stay in to go forward. It seems you wanted to say something or want to ask something.
No, no, no. I'm listening and I'm thinking as you are talking. You can continue.
Oh, okay. So that's the second one. A mentor gives you a realistic view of life. They give you a backdoor on the how part of their life. How do you, behind the scenes, what's happening? And then they give you tools to make sure that you discipline your desires between entertainment and productivity. And then another thing, and a good mentor will do for you, but also this is not the responsibility of the person who will be mentoring you. It's for yourself to expose yourself to other men when they are working in difficult environments. Like, for example, if a CEO person that you aspire to be one day, they're working at a very tough job and they're making constant decisions, ask for them, for example, can I please come join one of the meetings? I just want to see how this thing called a board meeting is ran. I want to see, for example, how do you do, if you need sponsorship, how do you actually go behind the scenes and approach sponsorship? How do you put a business proposal? So in other words, another thing for you to become a man that will be able to be productive and be able to contribute to society, approach men and say, please, I'm giving my time, I'm giving my energies and my strength, and offer those times for free. Don't expect these people to pay you. Volunteer your time to expose yourself to the different facets of which these men you aspire to be like one day, you want to be in that space so that you can get the in-house. While other cultures, for example, at the very young age, what they do to their young men, while every school holidays, what their fathers will do, they'll invite them to work. During the summer holidays, during the December holidays, what they'll do is they'll expose these men to how does the working world work? What are the dynamics in the working world? Unfortunately, some of us, we get to experience that only once you get a degree. But I think we need more of those exposing our young men as Black people to the working environment. And not only the working environment, some people of us, we are not interested in the academic route. We are more interested in working with our hands. Join and invite those young men. Listen, I've got a project, for example, one of our friends that is coming to us, Ore, I've got a friend, I've got a deal that I've got, I need to install cupboards in NNMU. Are you interested in carpentry? Are you interested in working with your hands? Come along. We'll teach you, we'll show you how do you approach the customer? How do you behave yourself? How do you do quotations? How do you go and gather materials? How do you do measurements? So that by the time that man is done at varsity college or whatever technical college, he's already got the knowledge, he's already got the exposure. Okay, this is how this thing is done. This is how professionalism is done. When I'm communicating via email, when I'm communicating via phone calls with my clients. So by the time this person is done, he has lots and vast experience. You don't have to start from scratch from him. This is how you do these things. So that's the one, that's the aspect that falls under the making of a man. And then once you made this man, obviously, this man needs to do something in society. So we started first with basically, if you sum it up, it's the 3 M's of manhood. We said the first M is the misconception of a man, and the second M is the making of a man, and then the third M is the mandate of man. You've made you now. We've taken out the misconception, what is society expecting from you, which is unrealistic. And then you say, no, this is unrealistic, ignore this. And we made you, we say, no, for you to become a better man, here are the tools, here are the action plans, here are the steps you need to take from your side. Find a mentor who's gonna give you a realistic view about life. Find a mentor who's gonna show you the how behind the scenes that's happening. Find the mentor and take your own initiative to be able to know and to be exposed to the working world around us. Don't be ignorant of how the world works. Now we've done that, we showed you how to do this thing. Now you have a mandate as a man. I think one of the things that society as a whole has made us to be, it's stemming from the misconception I've mentioned. One of the mandates of a man is to be a provider. If we as a people, it's supposed to be us. This is a God-given, it's not even a skill that you need to give. When a man does not want to provide from his household, from his family, from his relatives, for his society, contribute something. Provide, for example, let's start in your immediate home. In your immediate home, you need to provide for your wife and kids if you're married. If you're staying by yourself, obviously you're gonna have to provide for yourself. That word provide, it has inbuilt with it a lack of not depending on anyone. As a man, you need to be able to use your own God-given abilities. You need to use your opportunities. You need to use your talents and your gift to provide for those you stay with, to provide for yourself, and to also provide for society. So there's no way that you can be a contributor to society if all you do and your mentality is this African mentality of handouts. As a man, you need to provide. You cannot be depending as men. It strips you of your dignity as a man once your life is depending on other people. But that's why if you find it, if a man loses his jobs, he loses his job, one of the things that goes down from that man is his ego. By nature and by God's design, our ego as men is tied up to our productivity and our provision to the people that we stay with, to the society that we are inhabiting. So as a man, you need to learn to be a provider. If you are lazy, for example, to work, obviously you will not be able to achieve that. You'll forever continuously depending on other people, and the health effect of that, your low self-esteem will be down, your dependency on other people will go up. And as I've said, once that becomes a daily thing of a man, your morale goes down as a man. And so what that man will do is, if you're not a provider, if you're not working hard to be dependent on yourself and stop depending on other people, your morale will be down, and you want for you to exert your alpha male tendencies. You'll want to dominate other people. You'll want to be aggressive. You'll want to stamp your approval by wanting to physically empower other men who are providing for their families, because to you, that's how you derive your identity. So, but as God's design, our dignity as men is tied up to our provision. And then if you find a man in a society, for example, that is not fulfilling this mandate of being a provider, then there's sometimes a psychological problem with that man. Maybe, for example, maybe that man that was abused, and maybe that man, he had a bad picture of what a man looks like in the home. For example, he might have been exposed to a father who's very lazy. The mother was always the one running around, taking the needs and doing all the chores of the house, doing all the provision of the house. So this boy is looking at the father figure and the mother figure, saying, actually, as a man, I don't have to provide because there's a woman that is doing all this thing on my behalf. So what that man will do in the long term, he will get a girlfriend or marry to a woman that will do everything for him. And that man will be sitting down and be relaxed and says, no, I don't have to do anything, because that's the model that was played in front of him. So one of the mandates of men as a society, we need to be providers of our household first and foremost, of our relative where we can help them across. And this is not including the black tax, if you know what I mean, where that you work hard, use your God talents, and then someone exploits you and uses all your finances and uses all your resources you worked hard for. I'm excluding that. But primarily as a man, you need to provide for your household. You need to take care of things of the man. That's a natural thing to do. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to be a protector as a man. As a man, you need to be a protector. It always starts back in the home. You need to protect your home. You need to protect your wife specifically. You need to protect your children if you're married. Protection in what way? Society our world we live in, it has lots of voices. You've got voices coming from social media. You've got voices that are coming from the news. You've got voices coming from all over the world. Remember, as a man, as a protector, you are the leader. You are the head of that house. And you need to protect these people that you live with from all the voices that are contrary to the vision and the goals and the plans that you've got as a man for that house. For example, society, one of the goals maybe we have is that in this household, we will stand with conviction and we will stand for what is right. We will not tolerate violence. We will not tolerate vulgar language. And then all of a sudden, all these voices from your TikTok, from your Facebook, from all these good platforms that we use for communications, which are making our lives very easy. But the same platforms will intrude and disrupt your plans and disrupt your ambitions you have for your family. For example, your kids and your wife will be watching something for one day that says, no, let's swear, let's harass this person, let's disrupt other people's life by being harsh to them. Let's make unsolicited, untrue statements about such people, and your conviction as a family, let's say we treat humans with dignity, we treat humans with respect, and there's all these other voices. They say, no, you can treat a person like this and make fun of their unforeseen, unfortunate circumstances. In those circumstances, that's why you stop and you say, no, I'm going to stop this. I'm not going to allow this to come into my house. You protect those you love. You protect the vision of you have with regards to your house. You protect the vision you have with your wife. For example, you aspire your kids to be smart. You aspire your kids to have this type of education that promotes these values. And then society as a whole comes and says, no, let's promote, for example, with the gender fluidity that is being passed on social media, that a man can be a boy, a man can give birth. All of those things are being thrown at you as a man, to your household and to your kids, that no, I can be a boy, I can feel as a man, I can feel as a woman. And then you need to step in and speak to your kids and speak to your wife. We need to talk about this topic because this is what we believe as a family, A, B, and C, and then you protect your family with regard to that. I hope this part, it can be complicated. I hope it makes sense a bit. But you, first of all, you provide for a family, and then you protect from family. And the last part that we need to speak to now with regards to this part of the mandate of men, we really need, which is this. I'm very passionate about. So I've spoken about the protection. I've spoken about the provision, the protection, and we need to be the, what do you call this thing?
Maybe before you conclude,
Yes.
let's just take a break and then we'll be back in a second. I just want to fix something.
Okay, must I leave now?
Yes.
Okay, cool.